I was not sounding like that. You are making that up.
I'm not making anything up.
You are making it up.
Welcome to the Why Aren't You Famous podcast with Andrew Grimm and Ellen Cherry. I'm Andrew Grimm and...
I'm Ellen Cherry.
She's Ellen Cherry, ladies and gentlemen. This ongoing podcast of 24 episodes follows our action-packed adventure in figuring out why exactly it is that we're not famous, nor will we ever be famous.
Yay.
Huzzah. Huzzah for fame.
Here, clink to continued obscurity.
Yes. Long may we run under the radar.
Yes. All right, so how have you been? We've both had some adventures this week.
We have had adventures this week. I don't know if I really want to talk about my adventure as much.
Okay. I don't want to talk about my adventure at all because it wasn't really adventurous and
it wasn't.
One of the most psychologically, emotionally destroying weeks of my life thus far. And guess what? I ended it by having my period.
Ooh.
I know how much you love to talk about that.
Yep.
So I thought we would just start with it at the top.
Okay. All right.
Like, it should be like a commercial, like, how do you like to end a terrible week where you feel like your heart is breaking constantly every day and then you have to do some stuff? Please zip up your pants. Thank you.
Sorry about that. Oops.
Why don't you end it by a stiff drink and bleeding internally? Terrible menstrual cramps. But hey, I'm here now.
You are here now.
I'm seeing your lovely face.
Oh, thank you.
You gave me a present, which was nice.
Mm-hmm.
Dear listeners, listen to this creative piece of wizardry that Andrew Grimm has.
Wizardry.
That's why.
But be prepared to be disappointed by what we think is wizardry.
No, it's really sort of exciting because one of the challenges of trying to sell the remaining CDs that I have that I'm never going to print any more of is like how to display them at shows in a creative and interesting way where I'm not stressed out and they're like all spread out over a table. And so last night, exiting a building, Grimm took legally.
No.
Oh.
I got months before I got these.
You got permission.
These were given to me. Yes.
Okay.
No, I didn't walk out with stuff.
You didn't steal something.
No.
2 mobile voting booths that we will now be using for our merch tables, which is exciting because like there's nothing better than getting a free present that you actually need and want.
Right.
So that's really good.
Yeah, and certainly we can challenge the notions of voter fraud and hanging chads through our mobile Diebold voting booths that have power.
When was the hanging chad thing? Was that
was 2000?
Oh my God, that was almost 20 years ago and we're still talking about it.
Still talking about it, yeah.
Because everyone's still devastated.
Yeah, and everybody started a band called Hanging Chad. Chads around the world were they're a little upset.
Yeah, the country of Chad.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's one of those countries in Africa, right?
It is. You want to say more? No. Where it is?
No, I'm
just like let's just leave it there.
On behalf of America, Chad, I want to apologize for things that may have been said about disparaging words
because of our stupid election in 2000. Important but stupid election.
Well, I was thinking more of the comments that came out 2 weeks ago about shithole countries.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that again.
Listen to the deep resignation. Hey, that. Oh.
I had just recently forgotten that, but
yeah, well.
Okay, so what are we talking about today?
We're talking about the economics of fame, which is something that both of us agreed we had no idea what
we had been thinking. So much like an episode maybe 5 episodes ago, we also are dealing with our own economics of time and energy.
Yes.
And having to have like your life going on in addition to trying to make a living as an artist. And so we decided to eschew the essays this week because we didn't understand the topic, even though we assigned it ourselves.
Yes, that's true.
And so we just decided to chat and rap about the economics of fame.
Rap. I'm sorry. I was thinking about
Chap and Rat.
Chap and Rat. Oh, I saw those guys. They opened up for Pig Fat and Belly Itcher in '96 at the Rev. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
It's pretty cool.
So why don't you start with your ideas about the economics of fame? I'm just going to gloss over that.
Okay. You look like you're about to glaze over anyhow.
I'm in so much pain right now. Like you don't even know.
Well,
This is amazing that I can even sit upright and
you're
like,
not sitting upright.
okay, sit at a 45-degree angle
Uh-huh. That's a little bit better.
and form a thought.
Oh,
But I'm
okay.
gonna do it. I'm gonna power through.
You power through, girl.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So one of the ideas I had when I was thinking about writing the essay was how, we associate fame with money. Like, because you're famous, you're gonna have lots of money, and I think that's when we originally kind of bandied about the ideas, and we started laying them out. There's that. That's why economics to me seem to be something interesting, because
Yeah.
we put a dollar value with success, and then we put a even larger, maybe not a dollar value, but a dollar value expectation
Yeah.
that somebody who is famous has some sort of financial security. But
Yeah.
I think if you dig through the fine print on their contracts, there's insurance costs that we don't understand about. There are lawyer fees that we don't understand about. There's management fees. There's,
Yeah.
everybody's got their hands in your cookie jar, and by the end, you have a couple crumbs and maybe a smidge of a chocolate chip left.
And the wisest, it seems, take any successful project where they may have actually gotten paid a large sum and invest it,
Yeah.
and understand that, or they have a manager who advises them. But I mean,
Right. But even then, that's kind of like a tricky thing, because some of their managers or their money people are crooked as hell.
yeah. So that's sort of like the story, right? Is the idea that you have lots of money and then we think that you're living some type of lavish lifestyle. You might be living a lavish lifestyle, but it's an economy of scale because you are supporting, maybe, what's her name? Miley Cyrus. What does her entourage actually cost?
Sure.
Or I remember watching, there was an interesting, I thought, Katy Perry, like, tour documentary about when she was breaking up with Russell Brand, and it showed all that goes into the production of her shows, including like the amount of support staff that she has,
Sure.
vocal coach and somebody to cook for you, stretch.
Vocal couch.
Sorry, I meant to say coach.
You have to lay on that couch for a while and be like, oh, hey, why me?
Vocal coach,
This
like
is my sleep song.
somebody who trains you, somebody who feeds you, somebody who actually sits there and filters out people from coming and sucking
Right.
all your time and energy.
And then you're paying your entire crew, which is like, she's probably traveling with about like 300 people.
Yeah, and she even, I thought one of the interesting things about that documentary too was that she had a friend who ended up being a clothes designer who ended up designing these really interesting costumes that she wore for this tour, where she had costume changes on stage in front of the audience, which they were incredible. They were like dual-sided dresses that like something would come down and the dress would like flip. It was insane. And there's a person who she knew from when she was a songwriter for Taxi and a song chooser for Taxi.
I hadn't thought about Taxi.
Yeah,
in
Katy
years.
Perry worked for Taxi for a long time, and
man.
or not a long time, but for a while. And I believe that's true, and I'm remembering correctly. But a friend who was with her then, and she was like, she brought people along with her, but they're also become salaried employees, and so
Right.
like for her to be going through a painful split from her husband at the time of the tour, she can't just be like, going through a tough time, gonna take a couple months off.
See ya.
Because millions of dollars.
Solo acoustic open mic down at
Jonas.
down at Jonas, down at Mick O'Shea's. I gotta play there. Someone's gonna yell at me for an hour and a half. Yeah.
Oh man, so you can't just do that because there's a lot of people depending on you. So I understand that economy of scale, but then people, I think, also look, because I've definitely fielded this question over this query over the years of, oh, so you're making a living at it? Oh, you're a musician, you're making a living at it? And my response has always been, I make a lean living.
Yeah.
It's a lean living. And then I always, I have some issues to work out. I was trying to make other people feel the most comfortable in the situation. So I'm just like, but it has all these great trade-offs, and like I meet all these interesting people and I get to travel and, it's not lonely at all. Doesn't destroy relationships. Doesn't do this, like.
It's completely secure.
Yeah, it's awesome. I never feel like I'm about to fall off the edge because I'm constantly worried about money.
But at least you're doing what you want to do.
I'm following my bliss. Following
your bliss.
It's so blissful. But the idea that like, so we should break down, like talk about your show on Thursday.
Oh yeah, that was
Grim
awesome.
Grim played a show at the Wind Up Space in Baltimore, and I would like to hear, like, you have a 5-piece band and you didn't pay them for rehearsals. How many rehearsals went
No.
into that show?
Oh my lord. Yeah. We did 7 rehearsals,
Yeah.
I think, for that.
How many hours was each of those rehearsals?
About 2.
Okay, so that's 14 hours
Yeah, 14 hours
times
times
5
people.
people, which is 90 hours of human capital put into. I think that's the correct math. Wait, 50, 20. No, 70. Sorry, 70 hours.
Oh, what's the difference?
20.
It
The
felt like-
difference is 20. I can actually tell you that. It felt like 90 hours.
It felt like 90 hours.
But okay, so 70 hours of human capital put into, a 50-minute set.
Yep.
And there was a $10 cover charge.
$10 cover.
And how much time did you put into promotion?
I probably spent about 4 or 5 hours personally
Okay.
promoting it.
So now we're up to 75 hours. It takes time to get there and gas money for everyone to drive from their own homes.
Yep.
It's a huge commitment of time for everybody involved because you have to do sound checks several hours before the show. So
Yep,
even the day of the show is a good 6 hours usually of commitment. You show
Right.
up at 5, you're done by 11 or 12.
Right. And everybody else, well, at least Ryan, Kurt, and Greta all have family.
Yeah, so they may have to find babysitters or people to take care of children. So you have a huge amount of time investment in this, as well as actual hard costs like paying somebody to watch your children, or you have to take, if you have a day job, you have to take off time from work to do that. And you did 5 hours of promotion for it. And what was the door? What was the take at the door?
The take at the door was $160.
Okay, so that's after sound and doorman were paid for, right?
No, that was before.
Before, okay.
Yeah.
So even that, if we didn't have friends who would do that stuff for us, there's like a pull from that.
Which we had Sean as our sound guy.
Yep.
And we had Mike Cager, who's an awesome door bouncer guy, was our door dude.
Yeah.
And any show that I book is the sound gets $100.
Yeah.
And usually the sound guys, like, for when I work sound, I'm there, I'm paying attention, I am on the clock from the time I get there to the time I leave. I don't go to the bar and get a couple beers and ignore what's going on, or put some sort of awful reverb on somebody's voice and be like, that sounds great.
You're working.
And so the people who I hire for my shows are the same way.
Yeah.
And Mike is it's North Avenue. You better have a bouncer.
Yeah.
And Mike is we paid Mike $80.
Out of the 160.
Well, Mike took 60,
Okay. So then there's $100 left.
and $100 went to Sean.
Okay. So there's $0
$0
for that show for the band,
for the band, and not only my band,
but the other 2 bands on the bill.
the other 2 bands on the bill
Okay.
as well, which was Big Mama Shakes, and they were from Richmond, and they had to drive back to Richmond that night without any money.
Yeah.
And Kevin Johnson, who lives in Baltimore, but he's just kind of getting his performance legs back. He's just now starting to kind of like do more stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, even then, it's like,
It would be nice to have a paid rehearsal, especially if you're coming all the way from DC. Like, it would be nice to like have everybody in your 5-piece band walk away with at least $20 for gas.
Yep.
So it was basically a volunteer show for the musicians, and that, I think that's a pretty common experience for the 2 of us.
Sure.
Despite the fact that I feel like both of us have worked for a really long time to establish a base in Baltimore, it's just difficult to get people to come out, even for as cheap a cover charge as $10.
$10 for 3 bands. Show started at 8:30.
Yeah, so it was a little bit earlier than
A little bit earlier than
I think
normal.
we should actually, I'm going to say this, we should be starting shows even earlier during the week. 7:30 show time.
But
Listen up, clubs.
But it's like, and even if we had made money, I would have paid everybody before paying myself.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was kind of a lose situation, and I don't, this is not about like, oh, this is all like, this is the problem with America, and but that's like the nature of the business. So
Yeah.
So when somebody says to me, well, at least you're doing what you love. Yeah, I hear you. At least you're right. I don't have any money for food, but I'm doing what I love.
Yeah.
And this is me being a little sarcastic, just slightly. I've been known to do this.
From time to time.
The songs aren't very good. And I'm not a good musician. So therefore, maybe if I was better, more people would show up, which is usually the argument people, cynical internet trolls would have.
Yeah.
But
well, if you didn't suck, then you would have an audience there,
right.
a paying audience. But that's not true either.
No.
I think it's like and this is one of those things that like you hear when you're starting out and you aspire to do it, which is like be nice to every single bouncer and every single club owner as you are building your career, because those people that you're going to see at places like Autobar, Metro Gallery, Wind Up Space in Baltimore, you're going to be seeing them as you ascend and then also as you descend.
Yes.
Yep. And so like it's important to maintain at least, a modicum of kindness and connection in some ways to those people, because they're also grinding it out too. I mean, like I don't know what the solution is except for sponsorship. I honestly feel like that. Like that's one of the things that you and I have been discussing about this tour is that when I look at how our tour is shaping up, there's definitely some shows that we have booked that are going to be like helping us not come back like losing money on
right,
it.
we might break even.
Right. But that's probably only a handful of shows that are going to cover the costs of everything. And so I started thinking, a couple weeks ago, like we need to raise tour money, which we're going to work on today. Doing a little Indiegogo video and campaign just to raise money for gas and hotels, because this is the other thing. When I first toured in 1998, it was like just we were flying by the seat of our pants, and I continued to do that for probably another good 10 to 12 years, probably up until 2010. I would ask for places to stay on stage or stay with friends or stay in weird basements of people that we sort of knew that had run the open mic, or
John,
don't say it by name, because don't.
I'll bleep it out. Yeah, I'm good at that.
You are good.
I've learned how to edit these things.
Good. So, but around that time, I just thought, I can tolerate doing that on tour, but I have to have a break. I have to have a hot shower. I have to have an actual bed in a hotel, and I need that, because you just need a break. And also, as much as I love staying with people, I think we've talked about this in this podcast before, and this is going to sound very familiar to touring musicians, is that it's great to have that support and have somebody say like, hey, you can stay at my place, I'll save money and I'll feed you breakfast and dinner, blah, blah, blah. But that means that your show starts from the showtime and it goes through the after conversation that lasts till 1 a.m, and then you get up and have breakfast with them, and you're still on in a way.
Yeah.
And it's like extra taxing and can be... It just doesn't make it like I need to have solo time. I need to have alone time. So we're raising money for that.
You need Ellen Cherry time.
I need Ellen Cherry time, me time.
I need to luxuriate in a Ramada Inn shower for a while.
Well, that's the other thing too, because sometimes you just really want to take like a half an hour shower and waste the Earth's resources, spend them.
My shower's going right now.
Is that good? And you don't want to do that to some person who graciously is like, let you stay in their house, and then all of a sudden they're like, it was a great day stay, but she took use all the hot water. That's what I imagine people saying, so I don't ever do it. And I don't feel like
your friends sound weird.
I don't feel like I deserve it. No. So that's part of the economy of touring, is just the idea that like if we're having this much of a struggle in our own hometown, the struggle to make the money part work on the road is even going to be harder, because you really do have to be in a community to establish yourself, and we are. I mean, I think we're doing smart things, which is connecting with other musicians along the way, like Matt Monta, who's the guy in Detroit.
Oh, Dupe,
a
man. He's the man.
Awesome. I
love that guy.
Good. I can't wait to experience your love.
Interesting way of putting it.
Okay, what I meant was witness your experience of that love. That's what I meant.
Okay.
Okay, edit that part out.
Nope.
Um,
It's getting hot in here.
no, it's not. It's actually quite chilly. That's why
You're wearing my clothes.
I'm wearing your clothes because I thought I was dressed for the studio today, but it's actually a little bit chillier than.
It's at 59 right now.
It's okay. It's just because I'm bleeding internally.
Oh. Ew.
I'm gonna bring it up, and that way you're gonna get comfortable with it.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
I'm deeply uncomfortable right now, and I'm in a lot of pain. It's okay. It's distracting me from heartbreak. Thank you, menstruation, for distracting me from terrible, terrible heartache. And I want to thank my dear friend Andrew Grimm for.
I was just gonna let you just roll. As long as
No,
you need
don't let me roll. I've been talking now for a good 6 minutes, so you talk.
to. Okay. What were you were gonna thank me for something?
For being my good friend and for helping me,
Oh yeah. You're
listening
welcome.
to me, and also being able to stand outside of my life. And
You realize that nobody listening to this podcast understands
I know.
what on earth you're talking about.
I'm
Okay.
everybody. I'm fine. I'm fine.
We're gonna redirect a little bit.
Yes, please. Let's pivot.
Well, and the economy of those things as well. Like if you, the other thing I had thought about when coming up with the idea, was how record sales or, well, I guess how you move units when you're big and famous or whatever. That there's you're advanced the money by the record company, and you have to pay that back. So even if they say, yeah, we're going to give you a contract for like $1 million, and like you have to take care of your expenses, you start looking at what that is. It's like, well, you have to use that. They're going to say that you have to use this studio, and then you have to use this producer. Well, that studio is, a month in there is going to be $250,000, and then that producer is $200,000. So before you know it, you're already like $500,000 in the hole.
Yeah.
And you have to, and that's basically lent to you versus like album sales. So you have to sell X amount of dollars or X amount of units in order to make that money back, just to break even before you do anything else.
Yes.
And that's what happened to. That's what I remember watching. Like the eye opening stuff on that was watching the Dixie Chicks behind the music.
Oh, did they talk about it?
They did. They were really funny about it. They said, well, let's just let you know how this this is how that works, but we don't care about those things. All we care about is the touring aspect because that's where we make our money.
Yeah.
And I think they had something in their contract that that all the merch was, they had 100% control of their merchandise.
Yeah.
At the
venues and stuff.
venues, yeah.
So
Well, in venues, I mean, we're not on that level where venues take 20%.
No, but I have been. I mean, if you
I've
play
had that happen.
Rams Head Live,
Yeah.
because they have a person who's selling your merch and they take like 10 or 15%.
Yep, and that's why when you go there and you buy a T-shirt and the T-shirt's like $60. Well, that's because in order for the band to make any money off it, they have to jack the cost up because you have the venues grabbing a part of it. If it's a record label that has part of that,
Yeah.
they're gonna bleed you dry that way. And so, once again, who was the other band that who's it? Don't go chasing waterfalls. TLC.
TLC, yeah.
TLC talked about that too. They talked about how could they be stone cold broke when they have like all these like platinum selling records, and they I think it was Chili went through. It might have been Left Eye Lopez, but I think it was Chili went through line by line.
Their budget,
she's
or
like, here's how this works.
yeah, the breakout of costs.
It's like people think that we're living large, but they're like, well, we all live in apartments.
Yeah.
We could be on MTV, we could be on heavy rotation as much as you want, but we don't get it. We don't see a dime from that.
It's interesting because when you were talking about the Dixie Chicks tour documentary, and like that was the first time that you had actually like seen it broken out like that, where somebody explained it. This is the reality of the situation. The first time that actually happened to me was with a musician named Shannon McNally, who I had played with in.
She's from Texas, isn't she?
I don't know. I had played with her in New Orleans when she was living in LA or Nashville or something, and then she toured through and we played a show where we were like co-billing, and then she played out at the Rams Head on stage. This has got to be like 8 or 10 years ago now. And they asked me to open for her, so I went down and opened for her. And we were sitting in the green room talking about it because the reason she was touring is that she had just gotten signed to some label.
It's,
I think it was Blue Note. It might have been Blue Note because it was after the
she was on Bloodshot for a while, I thought.
Nora Jones
Oh.
thing. I don't remember. Anyway, she had an album coming out, so she was on this tour to promote it, and it was coming out like it was a Wednesday night show, and she was like, it's coming out Friday or something. And we're sitting there talking about it because, I remember what year it was. It was probably 2002 because I put this album together called the Ellen Cherry Primer.
Oh, I have a copy of that.
And it was that year because we were putting out the album finally, and like my album and her album were coming out at roughly the same time.
Oh.
And we were talking, and she said something like, she's like, oh yeah, I did the numbers and I have to sell. Oh, this is what it was. She was in, I was just randomly in like Barnes and Noble. Remember those when we had Barnes and Nobles? And I was looking through magazines, and she was in some women's magazine. There was a little blurb about Shannon McNally and her show, her tour, and also like her new album coming out, like a promo piece, just a little splashy piece, whatever. And then I was like, oh, cool, I'm going to see her next week. And I mentioned seeing her in this like national women's magazine. It was like Cosmo or something like that, Glamour. And I was like, cool, congratulations. You know, it's her press agent who did that.
Yeah.
And she just...
Somebody that she paid to do it.
Yes. She said to me, yeah, I did the math. And on this record, it was something insane. She's like, I need to sell... The length of the promotional period that they're putting into this album, I have to sell 138,000 albums a day.
A day?
To make it break even. And I was just like... And I remember telling her, I was like, oh, I have to sell 1,000 albums total to break even on my costs. And I remember thinking like, man, mine seems so much more achievable.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to lose money on this record because like over time I'll be able to sell at least 1,000 copies of it.
Or you're not going to lose Shannon McNally money.
Yeah. It was something insane like that.
That's crazy.
Or no, it wasn't 138. It was like 17,000 units a day. That's what it was. Okay. So I exaggerated. Sorry.
But still, that's a lot.
It was 17 or 18,000 units
independent
per day.
Brains.
Yeah. And I remember hearing that. I'm sorry, I misspoke.
Well, 100. I was like, wow, what kind of... Did they record it on Mars?
No. 17 or 18,000 copies a day. And I just remember thinking like, oh my God, like how are you dealing with the stress? And I don't know what Shannon McNally is doing now.
She's playing. She's
Yeah.
got a record.
Good. I'm glad.
Well, she's
I always
also...
thought she had a really good voice.
But she's also getting that... I don't know if this is true, but I would assume that she's probably getting some residual attention from like the resurgent, like the end of bro country and the beginning of legit country coming back in mainstream.
Gotcha.
Because of Maren Morris and Casey Musgraves and Margot Price. But she was on the circuit. I saw her when she opened for Sun Volt in 2008. I think she was on that bill. And then she was also opening for somebody else. I remember I've never met her, but she's been in those circles. Yeah. And so, with Jason Isbell and all those guys, like I think that there's a
little renaissance going on.
A little bit until it's murdered by corporate America.
But still, think about that, because at the time, in 2002, I would have been, how long ago was that? 16 years ago. So I would have been in my late 20s. Right. And she was around the same age. Maybe she's a little bit older, like 1 year older or something, or maybe younger. I don't know. But the pressure of thinking about like you have to keep that ship afloat.
Yeah,
like selling 17,000 units a day.
Let me think about selling 17 records a day. I mean, like
think of how happy you would be if you sold 17 records a day.
I would be.
You'd be like, I don't have to buy the frozen peas this week. I'm buying the fresh peas.
I'm buying fresh peas on this one.
What? This is crazy. So that kind of like I think I had just decided to become a full-time musician at that time. I'd almost...
After hearing that obstacle, you're like,
I think I had just lost my job or something, and I was like, I was going to be attempting to be a musician full-time, and it was so funny because I remember thinking like, oh my God, I don't ever want to go that route. And I think that maybe I sort of pre-loaded myself against or inoculated myself against pursuing fame for that reason, or even even a label deal, because I was just like, I don't want to do that. I'd rather do it myself because I can control the cost of it.
Right.
I can personally invest in it, and then nobody else loses their shirt or their house or, anything if I only have to sell 1,000 units total to
No,
break
that's
even
true.
on the project, like the whole cost of the project.
I think the really important thing is that Shannon McNally is doing something she likes to do.
Yes.
That's the Shannon, if you're listening, if you somehow listen to this, I just wanted to let you know I'm single, and
She's cute. I have a really fun picture of her. She's much shorter than I am.
oh,
She's a little tiny wee person. You can edit that out, right? We'll fix that in post. It's so funny because okay, stop laughing. The last thing I remember, it's not that funny, man.
it is funny. It is funny. Hold on.
The last thing I remember about that show, first of all, I played really well, but she had obviously been schooled in a way that I haven't about how to apply makeup. Because her makeup looked great. Like, she looked like a regular person.
Yours was a mess.
It's just, I don't know what I'm doing.
Lipstick on your nose.
No, just like you learn some tips and techniques when you get it done by other people about what works with your face and highlighting the features that you want to highlight. And so she looked like a regular person and pretty, but then she left the room. She's like, I have to go do my makeup, and she came back and she looked fantastic. She looked like she'd been made up and she had done it herself. But somebody took a picture of us, and it's so funny because like I am probably, I would say, like at least 5 inches taller than her, and I just, some time ago, I got over the idea that I should ever, like, try to get closer to people in pictures that are much shorter. And so it's just, like, looks like giant me and, like, little Shannon McNally. And I'm like, huh? And you can totally, like, I'm about to eat her for breakfast.
That's funny.
Oh, man. Oh, those halcyon days.
Ah, the days of innocence.
Yes. So, I don't know.
So, wow, that's a good story.
Yeah. But that's probably what I would have ended up writing in my essay. I would have written about that experience with Shannon McNally.
Yeah.
And have looked up her trajectory and seen
good.
what's happening with her.
Yeah, I'm sure she's doing pretty well.
She's following her bliss.
She is, you know what?
When you follow your bliss and you are broke and have no money and are depressed, it just means that you're not blissing hard enough.
You gotta bliss out harder, Juan.
You need to bliss a lot harder than you are.
My cousin Donnie, he got some pretty hardcore, like 100% China white bliss, and I'll tell you what, our beautiful.
So
never the
sorry for the 2 to 3 people that listen to this maybe multiple times, because that's what I suspect is happening when it says we have 30 views. Is that it's like the same couple, like 10 people watching it, listening to it twice because they got zoned out or fell asleep or passed out during it, and they're like, oh, I missed this. Oh yeah, it wasn't important.
Oh yeah, it wasn't important.
I can't believe I don't know the safe word anymore for Grimm's Maryland voice. I failed you.
Yeah, well, what are you gonna do?
I have a question for you that's totally random.
Oh boy, go ahead.
Have you ever used this shampoo, Head and Shoulders? It's a product on the market.
Well, yeah, a long time ago.
I have been staying not at my home because of extenuating circumstances for a few days.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, oh, this was in the spare room that I'm staying in. And
it's not a very good shampoo. No offense to the person who you're staying with.
No, it's okay. No, it's not his shampoo. It was just in the spare room. Somebody probably left it.
Okay.
So I was like, I'll give it a try. Whatever. I don't have dandruff.
You do now?
Oh my God. What is in that stuff? I was driving out here and my scalp felt like it was on fire. I had the sunroof open because I was like, something bad is happening like right in the middle of the top. And I was just like, this is not good because I have a big show coming up. And I was like, I don't want to shave my head or like this chunk of hair falls out on the very top. It hurt so bad. I will never use that product again.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
And like it didn't like make my hair beautiful and bouncy.
Anything that comes out like milk of magnesia doesn't. I mean, it's like that. It's like really thick, light blue, isn't it? Or is like a kind of like a deep.
What
aqua.
is in there that hurts so bad? It hurt me. Like I thought I was gonna have to like before I left the house to come here. I was just like, maybe I should like take another shower and like wash my hair again because it was so it's better now, but it's only because of like 45 minutes of driving with the sunroof up and like the wind blowing through it. cooled it off. It was on fire.
Fire.
Nobody ever used that product. It's terrible. If you see me in a couple weeks and there's like a big chunk of hair missing from the top of my head because it fell off in the night. If that happens, I'm going to make a tiny little wig for myself out of it.
A tiny wig. Yeah. Well. Oh.
Yes.
All right.
Oh, so speaking of CDs and economy and trying to make money, I was thinking about this show. I'm playing at the Millennium Stage at the Kennedy Center in a couple weeks.
Oh, that's right.
In the contract,
big gig.
Yeah, it is a great gig. I'm looking forward to it. I got it because I would originally play there as a Strathmore and artist residence. They give you a gig on the Millennium Stage the year that you're an artist in residence, and then you have to wait a couple of years and come back. So I thought this would be a cool year to come back, and I got it. And but in the contract there's a 14-page contract to read.
Ooh.
There's a 2-page liability waiver and video waiver, and then you got to fill out their stage plot, and there's a document didn't finish. I just realized there's another one I haven't do. So that reading a 14-page contract, because you want to read it, you want to know what's going on, but that's a huge amount of time. And because they do 365 days a year shows there, they pay a stipend per musician, and it is not very high because they have bands that are coming in that are like 7 musicians, you know? So it can end up being an expensive gig. But for me, it's just me. So I was like, what? That seems really low for the fact that I need to drive to DC.
Right.
Get there at 4, be there for the show 6 to 7.
Think of all the exposure you're
drive
gonna
home.
All the exposure.
Read the 14-page contract. Yeah, no, it is going to be great exposure. But this is the thing.
Hire Shannon McNally to come out and do your makeup.
My makeup. This is what I was thinking about. I have made the set list. I've been practicing it because it needs to be an hour exactly, and so I've been practicing it with banter and trying to get ready for the show. And I was like, a lot of these songs are on an album called Please Don't Sell the Piano that is out of print now. I sold my last copy like 3 months ago. And I was like, I'm not printing any more CDs, so why would I print that one? And I was just like, oh no, am I going to miss an opportunity there? Because it's a 500 seat, I think 250 or 500 seat hallway that is in front of the Millennium Stage. And people attend these shows because they go early before the evening show, and it's also free to the public. So I was like, am I missing an opportunity here to sell CDs? And I have to sit there and do this balance of like, well, if I want to get some printed in sleeves, I got to spend probably 10 hours finding the old files, going to Oasis, getting a rush job done, having 100 copies printed, have them ready to go. And am I going to sell them? Or am I going to be stuck again in the same position that I was before, which was just like, this album is 6 years old, and
I have an idea.
What's your idea?
I have an idea. The idea is this. It's radical.
Become an organic farmer.
Become a Somalian dirt farmer.
Okay.
No, my suggestion is, since most of them are on the Don't Sell the Piano, do a Bandcamp download card for a free copy of it.
Okay.
And then, on the card that you print out, whatever, like, hey, here's a free record, but please buy something else maybe, because people don't buy stuff. And getting them to go somewhere is really difficult. Like directing them to your website, it's like...
And asking them to take that second step, totally.
Yeah. So maybe of course this is all maybe.
I'm trying to think creatively about it, because I even thought, like, I'm not even in the course of the stories that I'm going to tell between the songs. I'm not even introducing the titles of the songs. So I was just like, at the merch table, I need to have a list of, here's the Millennium Stage Kennedy Center set, and you can go to this link and get all of those songs.
When we played Hot August Blues, I had an iPod listening station.
Oh, cool.
That had our set list with the images of each of the records.
Yeah.
Next to the set, next to the song.
Yeah.
And so they could, color code it, and so they could find it. And then that was also, it had the cover thing going through on the iPod as well.
Okay.
So when they were listening, if they listen to the song, or they skipped through the song, it was because it was on repeat.
Yeah.
So you could just cycle through it and find the song that they want. We sold one record.
So you
That's
put
what I'm
all
trying
of
to make
that
it easy.
time and energy into a really creative idea for
Yeah.
the audience, and then sold one record.
Yeah.
I don't know if I remember if I told you I played a gig at the Friends of Patterson Park in Baltimore several years ago, and I'm sold, I don't know, maybe a couple of CDs or whatever, but two different people came up to me because Spotify was relatively new and said, I really love the show, it's amazing, blah, blah, you have a great voice, blah blah blah. While you were playing, I looked you up on Spotify, so I'll just like
I'll
play
just
play
listen to
there.
it there. Yeah.
And I was like, oh,
Well, you know, with Spotify, I mean, you'll get 0.000000135 cents per spin.
not even that. Not even that.
Girl, you're fast tracking it.
Woo! I can afford real eggs.
Wait a moment, you've been eating the fake eggs.
Yes. Those plastic ones you get in the Easter basket after they get discarded with no more chocolate.
Yeah, man.
Okay, so
Okay, yes.
I think we've discussed some money stuff.
We have. We're doing fine. I don't even know how long we've been working on this one today.
Who knows? There's no way of knowing. There's absolutely no way of knowing.
There's no way of knowing. Yeah,
It's
41 minutes.
Nice.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the fact that, like, up until now, we have not featured any of our own music, but
That's correct. We have not.
I think maybe that's one of the reasons why we're not famous. Ha ha ha, just kidding.
We're not even using our own platform correctly.
Yes. So last night, because of extenuating circumstances that caused both of us like just the topic too was confusing. We did not do our essays. I also suggested that we feature a June Star song, which is Andy Grimm's band, Long Suffering Band.
Long suffering. That's why people didn't show up to the shows, because my description wasn't funny enough.
Yes.
Or they didn't think I was being funny. Theron Meliquar did not think I was being funny.
Really?
He's like, because Ryan Finneran had posted it on Instagram.
Yeah.
And then Theron's like, what does long suffering mean? And I was like, well, I probably shouldn't leave that hanging. And I responded something like, that's right, Meg.
Hi, Meg.
I responded, I don't think I was in a good place when I wrote this bio. Which, of course, was, you know, I said a lot of awful things. They're not awful, but they're just self-deprecating. And,
Yeah.
you know, because you get tired of writing bios and all that shit.
Well, and also,
I get tired of it.
if you say any one negative, like slightly like bad thing, or you, I've had promoters like sometimes when I was heavily using my booking guy, like email and be like, "Is Ellen Cherry okay?"
Yeah.
She didn't seem as chipper as normal, and it's just like, give me a break. Anyway, so we're gonna feature one of Grimm's song from his band June Star from their upcoming album, because this is important. He has a brand new album called East on Green that is going to be celebrated on April
27th
at the
Not sure yet.
at the Not Sure Yet, which is not the TBD.
We're hoping for the Strand.
Oh, that's right, the Strand Theater, yes.
So we also need to exchange that information.
We're going to work on that today, too.
Yeah.
So you're going to be listening in just a few moments to June Star doing...
He's All Right.
Yeah, and they played this song on Thursday, and it's really good, and I think that this song should be famous and that we should listen to it right now. Oh, shit.
Way to go, Meg. Good work, buddy.
I love how he just looks at it like, meh.
I did that.
You'll clean that up, right, lady?
Long
scoot closer to the mic. Oh God.
Oh Lord.
Oh Lord.
Oh Lord.
That song is so good. I love it. It's such a good song. What is it about?
Oh, well, it's about this guy,
Yeah.
and he's anything but all right.
Yeah.
The record is really about people who share the same geographical location as me,
Yeah.
and but it's also kind of like a looking at behaviors or patterns of things that people do, and you have this guy who's doesn't care about it, like he's not crazy, but he's like nothing really matters much.
Yeah.
So he's the guy who is doing 45 miles per hour in a parking lot.
Yeah.
He's the guy who will cut you off and doesn't really seem to care about anything else except for whatever he's going to do, whatever he wants. It's like this kind of like, I don't know, id kind of like person. And
Yeah.
you just kind of wonder, like, man, what is wrong with that person? And
He's all id, no ego.
right.
No super ego. Yeah.
And if you if you like, are you okay? Be like, yeah, I'm all right.
Yeah.
It's no big deal. And it's somebody who steals, steal $100 to get by. I never walk when I can ride.
Yeah.
There have been several people in my life that I've worked with who are like that. There's one guy that I was working with.
They'll just make a new friend. That's a lot easier. They're like cell phone companies. They're just like the new customer is more important than retaining your regular customer.
And friend is a very, I don't know if that's a good word to use.
Yeah.
Because these aren't friends. Like, they just kind of use up a resource, isn't like a locust.
Yeah.
And there's a guy I worked with. This is like maybe the first time I ever encountered it. I worked with him at Harvard Community College, and he was younger than me, and you're on these riding mowers, these big, like I was riding on a Kubota 2400 FS triple deck mower, and you're on these big mowers, and
You remember like
I take my job seriously,
the maker and the model.
of course. And he had and I'd been there for this is my second year there, so I already had like a second. This is my second summer there, so I already had like established, like, I know my job and
Yeah.
all this other, and I was just a kid. I was like 21 or whatever. Who cares? It was my summer job, so I show up on time and I do my job, and then
Yeah.
But and the whole thing about mowing in the summertime there is like, it was a slow process, and you're just doing loops or whatever, and I remember him getting on he wanted to ride the mowers too, and so he jumped on one to show the boss that he could do it, and he just throttled that thing. And I was trying to I was mowing a patch of this field, and he comes swooping in around me and like mows the portion I was mowing. And then he's like, and I know what I'm about to say, and you'd be like, oh, what's the safe word? But he was like, yeah, man, I just mowed the fuck out of that, What the fuck, man? You're too slow. You snooze, you lose, dude. And I looked at him and I was like,
it's not a competition.
I was like, all right, bud, whatever. Sure. That's basically what I was like, all right. But he only lasted like a week and a half.
Yeah.
Because he banged a whole bunch of equipment up, and also, he seemed like he was on drugs half the time.
And he was just running through it and using people.
And he was, yeah, and that was his deal. So you were getting down, buddy. Sorry.
It's okay. Meg is always trying to jump into sound engineer mode.
Yeah, he's like, well, we really need to pull back that 2.5K.
Yeah.
2.5 cat, sorry.
That's okay, too. There's too much 2.5 cats in this.
Yes. 2.5 cats. That's ridiculous. So, but that's what the song's kind of like that kind of character, and this record's kind of pretty different than all the other records I've done. So it's very cohesive and a certain set of voices.
It's in concept.
Yes, it is
concept. Is this your first concept album?
I guess you could say that.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Excited for you. That's a really good idea.
Yeah, it's kind of a scary idea to me. Because I could always get by with writing songs that have kind of vague references to my own failures in relationships.
Yeah.
With, like, semi-poetry.
Yeah.
And some cool sounding guitars. But this one's a little bit
Somebody
more
suggested at your show that you should be putting out books of poetry. Like you should be putting out your books of lyrics
they did?
as poetry, which means that you would be in the same bookshelf as Jewel.
Ooh. Jewel, if you're listening, I'm single. And I will make
And
smiley
ready
faces.
to mingle.
I will make smiley faces with your yoke. That sounds terrible. I'm just kidding, Jewel. I will respect you as a human being. Isn't she going out with an astronaut or something, or a hockey player?
I don't know. She was. Who knows? I don't.
No, she married
She married a rodeo dude for a
Yeah, it was
while
rodeo
in
guy.
Texas. I
Yeah.
think. Yeah.
Yeah, that was that Magnetic Field song. Papa was a rodeo, Mama was a rock and roll band. I learned to rope a steer and play guitar before I learned to stand.
I love the magnetic field.
It's so great. It was a great tune.
We should feature a Stephen Merritt.
Yeah, he needs all the help he can get.
He's not famous enough.
No, of course not. So, well, thank you for suggesting that we feature a June Star song. I guess that means that we have to reciprocate. And
No,
do
there
one-
doesn't have to be reciprocity.
Oh, I think there should be because you played the other night. Was it I Gave Up My Life for Drugs? What was that song?
Oh, I don't remember the title of it, but that was from a long time ago. Yeah.
That was one of the first Ellen Cherry songs that I heard.
It's not. First of all, that hurts my feelings because somebody that cared about me used to make fun of that song. Gave up my life of drugs.
No. Are you talking about me?
No, I'm not talking about you.
No. Who made fun of that?
It doesn't matter.
Wait a second.
It's a painful memory.
Oh, painful memory.
No, it's not a painful memory, but it's just stupid memory. Like, who cares? Anyway, that's
so
not the
what
line.
anymore, man?
Yeah, I'm over you.
Whatever, dude.
It's years ago. I'm totally over it. It's like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm totally not thinking about it all the time, writing about it in my diary. Okay.
If my scalp was on fire, that's all I could think of.
My scalp is not on fire anymore. Thank you.
Now it's your soul.
Thank you, Breeze. No,
Thank you.
I don't want to feature that song.
Okay, I like that song.
I know, but like
good
that song came out on an
You
album
played it
in
the other night.
1997.
You played it the other night.
I know, but I don't have any modern recordings of it. And I do.
You do the Disney Pleasure
Disney
Club.
Pleasure Club.
That's where I first heard it.
Yeah, that's right.
That's a great song.
Thanks. Maybe we could play that one. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I mean you can choose though. I mean don't.
I
let it
chose
be-
this one for you though. This is one I suggested.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll think about it over the week and I'll
Okay.
pick one and we'll do it next week.
Well,
So as soon as we finish this, we are going to
work on our tour stuff.
work on our tour stuff.
Right.
So are we lacking any dates still that we're trying to fill? Dallas. Come on, Dallas.
Dallas, Nashville. I don't think that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's because it's just getting so. I mean, I'm gonna open mics maybe.
Yeah.
That's what we're gonna do. Meg, what could you possibly want, dude?
He wants everything. He wants it all.
He wants it all. The world is not enough.
Are we quoting Bond now?
Yes. So yeah, those two. Also, the St. Louis. Oh no. We got that Springfield, Illinois. We got that Ralph
Yes.
playing for his parents.
Yes. Speaking of tour support.
Tour support.
Nice.
That is tour support. And then yeah, I think that's it.
Good.
No, that is it.
Are we continuing our podcast after the tour is over?
Well, that's a really good question.
We should think about it because then, like, is it really only going to be like that? I mean, are the
It'll be
old
just that moment.
are those one moment in time?
I don't know, is that a Disney film?
Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da. Who sings that?
I can't help falling in love.
It sounds like that. Talk for a minute because I want to look up who this
with
is.
you.
Because I can't believe I forgot. I think it's a Whitney Houston song.
Oh,
One
She's doing great
moment
things.
in time. She's gonna make a huge splash.
oh no!
Song by Whitney Houston.
It's terrible.
I want one moment in time when I'm more than I thought I could be, when all of my dreams are a heartbeat away and the answers are all up to me.
Ugh,
Such a good song. No, it's so good. At least I didn't sing again. Tale as old as time, true as it can be, barely even friends.
Now I'm getting
then
cramps.
Somebody bends. Oh, should I lost the tune? Then somebody bends. Let's just fudge that note. Unexpectedly.
Let's give you a mulligan on it. Give me a mulligan on that note.
Hey. Yeah. Edit that one out.
Yeah. No, I'm accentuating that one too.
All right, friends.
Okay.
So we're gonna work. We're gonna do some work. Maybe we'll keep the podcast going because I have to be honest. It's been a little bit of a lifeline for a while for me. And
Well, I think we should take I think we agreed a 24 episode podcast. Now, of course, we've paid for the website.
Yeah.
So we have the website. If we do, I think
I'm
we
just
should.
worried that the old episodes will be irrelevant because they mentioned the tour at the end, and then the tour will have already happened.
No, I think that's okay. I think couldn't we still do sort of live updates on? Okay.
Okay.
So here we go.
You're thinking on the fly.
I'm thinking.
Okay.
Here's me.
I love it.
Boom,
I love
right
watching
here,
you think.
Right up here. Right up here. But what is it? Why couldn't we then do pictures and maybe I know this is gonna be old school, but do a CD type of thing that goes in one of those printed photo books. So if somebody's gonna listen to the podcast, they could purchase a picture book of our tour.
Okay.
With a CD that has some of our live performances from each of the cities.
Okay.
And then so therefore or we could put it on Bandcamp too, I suppose. But then they have something to support us on our next type of thing. So if you're going to listen to the podcast, well, here's what the tour ended up being, and try to get people to listen to it sequentially.
Okay. Interesting.
Well, you don't think that's a good idea?
I think it's a good idea.
You hate me.
I just think that why wouldn't we continue making them afterwards?
No, I'm not saying we wouldn't. I'm saying for that portion, but then we have a second season because I'm considering this to be a season.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And then we have to. It's why aren't you famous? This time it's personal, or then what we could do? We could go over the budgets of our daily lives. That would be exciting.
What would be exciting? The budget of our daily lives.
Yeah, we could call up my tax guy Kevin, and have him come over and talk about IRS stuff and. That'd be awesome.
Well, I think that the next season should involve a murder. So which one of us is going to die?
Yeah, I don't know what the second season would be.
That's true. Maybe we should think about that.
We should probably think about that.
Yeah. Because I've heard from listeners that the reason why they've been part of the reason why they've been listening is that they think that the topic is relevant.
Yeah.
And has also, we've touched on this in our discussions that it's a way of us unpacking what has happened to the country,
right?
What's happening in the cultures of the world, of the Western world, as they much quicker than I expected,
right,
fall into chaos and.
Well, maybe a good idea would be that we
to talk about it off air.
Maybe, but come on, I'm thinking here.
You're riffing.
I'm riffing. I'm on fire. And my scalp is on fire.
Your scalp is on fire. I'm head and shoulders all over this shit.
where? I don't need to see that, Meg. Thanks, bud. He's showing me his posterior. I'm sorry. So he's showing me his prostate.
Okay, it's still happening. This is the least
famous of anything.
But no, it's just the least inhibited cat ever. He's just I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care.
There you go.
Shame. What is that?
Yes.
But what if we maybe next season it's all about guests? We have guests on the podcast.
Oh yeah.
And
that would be fun.
So we might have to do fewer podcasts, but if we did we're gonna do a show with them.
Yeah.
And then we're going to have them on the podcast. Or we do a little show at the house with the podcast type of thing, maybe Facebook Live type of thing.
Cool.
And then do a follow-up podcast to talk about those types of things. That might be kind of cool.
That would be kind of cool. And a murder. And we solve a murder.
And we solve a murder, yes.
A 30-year-old cold case.
All right, we'll get cracking on that cold case.
So somebody go back in time, plant clues for us of the person you murdered so we can figure it out.
Yeah, where's that Lindbergh baby?
It's more than 30 years. That
right.
case is so cold it froze. N.
And so, Ellen Cherry, if I were, let's just say I was like some person on the internets, and I was looking, I was like, I really like that Helen Cherry girl.
Ellen's Cherry. Yes.
Whoa. You don't want to go to ellen'scherry.com.
No, well, that's how I was listed on the sign once and on marquee. My very first tour. Oh my God, he's gonna die. The murder is happening. Oh shit, I just totally maxed out your mic, sorry.
That's okay. You also revealed who did it. Oh God. Ellen's Cherry?
Yes, I have a picture of it somewhere. Because I showed up and I was like, oh man. It was like in Rhode Island or something, and I was like, oh
Boy,
man.
people were expecting a different type of show that evening.
It's not Ellen's Cherry. It's Ellen Cherry, you
men.
suck a dick, dumb shits.
Wow. So anyhow,
You could find me if you're still listening after that foul language that I just delivered into the mic, and also hilarious slam on the past, at ellencherry.com. And then when you're done there, well, you don't even have to be done there. You can click on the store page, and it'll take you directly to ellencherry.bandcamp.com, where I have a subscription service for $4 a month, as well as almost all of my entire discography. I'm considering putting up, I had an album that I wrote for a soundtrack for a film in 2003 that is not up there, and I need to find a copy of it so I can put it up.
I know how that is.
It's called Redress. If anybody has a copy of Redress that they want to mail me so that I can put it up on my own site. Are you kidding me? This cat is he needs so much attention right now. Just ripped my chair to shreds.
He's good like that.
He's like, no, I'm done. I'm in the other room. See ya.
See you until you try to do something important later.
Okay, so Andrew Grimm.
Yes.
If I were like blindly stumbling around through the beautiful meadow that is the internet.
Yes.
Where would I find you?
Well, you'd have to click on my profile on OkCupid, and then.
How would you?
Oh well, because it's funny. You would find me at junestar.com, junestar.com. And then you could also go to junestar.bandcamp.com, where you can do the /subscribe and subscribe to my subscription service, which is $5 a month.
It's worth more.
I have a lot of stuff on there.
Yeah.
And I do post songs every week. This year I'm doing all public domain songs. I'm up to 30 public domain songs.
Whee!
I know. I got caught up. I got behind by a week and a half, and then I got caught up, and so tomorrow I gotta work on that tomorrow too.
Yeah.
Get my new one up. But and then in the year before I did 52 original songs.
Good.
And also, you can, starting February 1st, you can tune into FAWM.org, FAWM.org.
Started by our friend Burr Settles.
Burr Settles. Burr, it's cold in
Burr.
here. There must be some settles in this
the
atmosphere. Right on. I said Burr. What a great film.
Right? That's what we should watch tonight, is Bring It On.
Okay. Yeah.
That's what we watch together exclusively, is cheerleading movies.
I'm not confirming that.
Or denying it.
Eh.
Not confirming or denying. This is good practice for season 2. The Bring It On murders.
What is wrong with you? All right. So anyhow,
I'm working on my enemies list.
right on. It's getting
Longer by the minute of this podcast.
Okay. Well, folks, until next week. See you later.
See ya.
Bye-bye. Can't kiss them like that. You don't have consent.
Can I kiss you? Thanks.